Thank you very much. And congratulations, fellow engineers. You're here, you made it. When I was in your shoes and graduated as an electrical engineer, I went to work as a digital designer, for an instrumentation radar company building radars that can detect paint flecks on the side of large aircraft. And one Friday, like today, near the close of business, I went down to the radar range, and as I walked in, there was a young engineer there, and he was struggling with a board that he was trying to fix before the CEO came over to look at the radar system. We'll call him Bob, mainly since that's his name. And I knew him because we were in the same group, but I didn't know him that well. It's about my age. And I walked up to him and I said, "Can I help you out with your board?" I didn't know anything about his board, but I'm really good at asking kind of obvious, silly questions. And I pestered him enough until we figured out the problem with his board, and we fixed it, and the CEO came in, and everything went off great. And he said, "You know, my fiance's in town. Would you and your wife like to go out to dinner tonight?" So we went out to dinner, and that became a friendship that has lasted since 1986. For the last 22 years, our families have vacationed together. In the last 14, he and I have owned a company with another guy from the same company, NetCentrics, for 14 years. I tell you this because in your first job, you're going to think, you know, I need to do the very best at what I do, and that's absolutely true. We want you to do the best at your entire career. But what's really important is that you help the ones that are around you. So my first piece of advice to you is, do you act like you own the company, regardless of whether you do or not? Make it your own. If you make it your own, you will get plenty of opportunities to do the things that you want to do and to make a difference in the world. And that's advice point number 2. Make every opportunity count. Seize every opportunity that you get. Small, medium, large, doesn't matter. You have to seize every one. And you'll hear people say, "Oh, she gets all the opportunities." And it's probably because she took the crap opportunities and she did something with them. That's why she gets the great opportunities. I'll give you an example. We had, when I graduated from grad school and moved down here, I started working for RTI in the park in the virtual reality lab. And one day Michelin came to us and they wanted to use a product we had for getting customer feedback. And as a side note, a little side conversation, one of them said, "Hey, you think it's possible for you guys to help us out? Here's our problem. We are the largest non-automotive and the only non-automotive car company at the Detroit Auto Show." Now, I know some of you go to Comic-Con. Think 5 times Comic-Con. Detroit Auto Show is 750,000 people. They come, they descend, and if you're the only company that nobody visits, it's kind of depressing. If you could see the new Lamborghini or the new Howard Stark floating car or set of tires, guess which one everybody skips? The tires. And we said, "Yeah, we can help you out. Here's what we'll do. Your new tire runs on the Viper. So we will create a virtual reality environment with a virtual Dodge Viper. We'll stick you in an actual go-kart. We'll put a head-mounted display that's tracked on you. You'll be able to look around in 3-dimensional space and see everything. And we'll drag you behind the car going at 120 miles an hour. And the whole time you'll see the tire, and we'll teach you things about the tire as you're whizzing around." And they said, "This is a great idea." They had a little bit of money, so we built it, and we moved forward. And about 2 months before the show, we took this little version of it to Vegas, to a small show. And sure enough, when people got in, they had a blast. They put the head-mounted display on. You can look around. You're totally enveloped. You can't see anything outside. But about halfway through, they would step out of the go-kart and hand us the helmet. We were thinking, you know, this is not good. People shouldn't, in halfway through your ride, if it's like a Disney ride, you don't get out in Disney and say, "I'm done," halfway through. And it turns out that 97% of the people that went in were guys. If you give a guy a steering wheel and an accelerator, they don't want to be behind the Viper. They want to be in the Viper. They want to pass. And SUI had failed miserably. They had a great time when they got in because most people haven't been in a head-mounted display that's tracked and looking around all over the place. But they had a terrible time in the middle because they got bored, and we said, "Boy, we failed at this. If we go to Detroit, we are going to fail on a breathtakingly 5 orders of magnitude better than this, and for 3 weeks people are going to hate us. They're going to get in the booth," which was the original goal, "but they're going to hate Michelin when they leave." So we went back and we said, "We got to make them pass." And Michelin said, "We don't have any money. So just stick a Viper body around it, and that'll be good enough because everybody will be happy just to be in a virtual environment." And we were thinking, man, this is like your senior design project, right? A week before and it doesn't work, and you think, "I got to demonstrate this thing." And then 2 o'clock in the morning, you're still figuring it out, but you figure it out eventually. So we decided we're going to spend our own money. We all worked extra hours, and we modeled the Viper, and we let people pass. We took it to the Detroit Auto Show, and blammo. We had 2.5-hour line waits for 14 hours a day for 21 days. We were voted one of the top 3 things to do, and we are on Entertainment Tonight, which for us old people was a great show back in its day, and everybody knew it. And we seized the opportunity from a small little conversation that we had to a failure. And then the next spring, they called us from Paris. And they said, we're going to be 100 years old this year. What can you do? And we said, we'll build you a time machine. We'll take you back in time and let you experience all the innovations that you guys have created. You can drive in 1906 France on a cobblestone alley. And now they had a lot of money. So I can name everybody in here's degree. Controls. We had a 4-foot by 8-foot hydraulic motion platform with a vehicle on it, 2 people in it, each with independent head-mounted displays. Force feedback in the steering wheel. We had an acoustic transducer that we could put 200 pounds of thrust up your butt to lift you off the seat so you felt like you were on cobblestones. We had an animation of 2 locked projectors that showed animation as it was probably as good as Pixar was at the time. Every night for 2 months, every computer at our building at RTI was rendering frames that we put together the next day. And so that was that was the engineers, that was the best project I ever worked on at RTI. It went to Detroit, it went to Geneva, it went to Paris. By the time 13 countries and 6 languages later, we lost track of where it was. All of that because somebody had a little side comment, hey, can you help us out? And we seized that opportunity. And then we failed. And guess what? You are going to fail. Sometimes spectacularly. And if you do, congratulations. And if you don't, you aren't working hard enough. Anybody who ever accomplished anything has failed magnificently at what they do. Think of your favorite CEO, think of your favorite entrepreneur. Everybody's got a failure story. It's whether or not you use that to generate an opportunity that makes a difference in your life. So number 1, make sure you make it your own. Number 2, make sure you seize every opportunity. And number 3 is make sure you enjoy the journey. Life is about relationships and experiences and stories. And those things happen on the journey. They don't happen at the destination. If you think you're going to be happy if I could just make this salary, if I could just work for this company, if I could just work on this technology, then I'll be happy. You will miss the boat. Everything happens on the journey, so you should enjoy the journey. How do you do that? Number 1, follow your passion. Then you will enjoy the journey. And you say, I don't know what my passion is. Then seize all the opportunities, try lots of things, and you'll find your passion. Number 2, make it fun. You know, we famously think of Google and the other companies that have foosball tables and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. Make it appropriately fun. I'll give you a couple examples, 1 non-technical and 1 technical. We make a product, as Dr. Stansel said, it's in its 10th year now, and it works off a very popular business methodology called getting things done. You may have seen it was in the IEEE, and it was also on The Office, the show The Office a few episodes ago. And as part of this, we go to this conference. It's a very serious conference. There are people from all over the world. You know, it's kind of one of those ones where people walk in and the lights dim because, you know, all these people are so brilliant. They're very serious people. So we were on a couple of panels, and one of the panels I was on was there were 4 of us. One guy was the head of funding for the World Hunger Organization. One guy does communication strategies for McDonald's Corporation, hamburgers and stuff. One lady is the head telecoach for a personal productivity company, and then there's me. Somehow I got on the panel, I don't know how. So we told the moderator, when you introduce us and we stand up, say their topic kind of reminds me of a song. And so we stood up, all of us serious people in front of 300 serious people, and we sang a song that had the material of what we were going to talk about on our panel. And everybody in the audience got lubed up, they all stood up, they cheered, and at that point it made the discussion that we had really, really productive because people were enjoying the journey. If you want to enjoy the journey, make things fun. Walt Disney called it plussing. In everything that you do on your job, try and make it just a little bit better. Now, it's easy on a multi-million-dollar job like the Michelin job to put all sorts of Easter eggs and fun stuff in, but you can do this, the most mundane thing you have. So a couple of years ago, we were asked to put a sign up when we sponsored a conference. So you know how you have wine and cheese and cardboard and the rest of the stuff you eat at those fancy things? They told us you can put a sign up. And we said, we're not going to put a regular sign up. So we went to Target, and we got 3 cheese graters. This is the green one. It's colored on the top. It has green cellophane in the bottom. And we put 3 of these on top of a stainless steel box that was actually made out of those things you organize your forks and knives and spoons with, but it looked really space-age cool when we put it all together. And underneath each one is a light. There's an iPod inside. So now we're going to start getting a little geeky. The right side was the audio for each one of these voices. And this one, I think, was Scottish. We had to do a Scottish accent just so we could say stuff like, oh, great, you know, and really bad puns and stuff like that. And we put them on there, And then the left side of the iPod controlled a microcontroller. We weren't to Arduino yet, but it would be an Arduino today. Controlled a microcontroller that turned on the lights under each one. So they talked to each other at the wine and cheese table, and they did a cheer, and they did a song, and it brought lots of people to our booth. But to me, the funniest thing was we show up the next year, we walk in, and they say, "Did you bring the cheese graters?" And we're thinking, when's the last time you went to a conference and somebody asked you if you brought your sign from last year? A little bit of electronics, a little bit of plussing, and we had a ball doing that. So we enjoyed the journey. Make it your own. Make the most of every opportunity and enjoy the journey. Make the journey enjoyable. I'll close with something that affects us all, and it's directly related to you. So I don't know which direction it is. Somewhere down that direction, near the Park Alumni Center, which very soon you will be qualified to go to, is the Lonnie Pool Golf Course. And the Lonnie Pool Golf Course, once a year, in the middle of the summer, a horde of people descends on this golf course for the Jimmy V Celebrity Golf Classic. Most of you know Jimmy V. Jim Valvano was the NC State basketball coach that took the team to win the 1993 NCAA tournament. Before he died of cancer, he and ESPN formed the V Foundation, which raises money for cancer, which is a really important thing. By the time we go to bed tonight, 1,500 people in the United States alone will have died of cancer. 3/4 of us in this room know somebody affected by this scourge. So they raise money for this. Now, NetCentrics, we are basically you guys. We're a bunch of, we would say internally geeks, you might say electrical engineers. We don't do medical research, but we can write software. And so for the last 9 years, we have donated between 400 and 800 hours of software development time to build the system that they use to run the event. And we've cut their planning time in half, sometimes by 3/4. So every amount of money that we've saved them goes directly into cancer research. And as of this year, the V Foundation as a whole has raised $100 million to help fight cancer. So we think that's pretty important. It started because one of our clients, who's a volunteer, told the Jimmy V organization, hey, you ought to work with NetCentrics. These guys can help you. And we started small, and we seized all the opportunities. We made it our own. We've had a blast. We've met a lot of people, and we've ended up building this system, and now we're a key part of that, even though we don't do medical research. And here's the kicker. The guy that runs that is one of you. He's an NC State ECE, Electrical Engineering, Computer Engineering graduate. He was on the first student design project that we ever sponsored here in the department, and we hired him. And now he is running that show and making a significant difference in the world. I challenge you to do better. I challenge you to do more than the generations of engineers that have come before you. My grandfather was an engineer. He was a mechanical refrigeration engineer. And if you think his generation gave us commercial flight, they gave us long-distance telephones. They gave us refrigerators that made ice instead of relying on them, and they gave us the television. My father's first job was to do calculations manually outside of a wind tunnel. And his generation put on a man on the moon with less computational power than you have in your watch. My generation, people from my generation, gave you the personal computer and the internet, the cell phone, and GPS. And now it's your time. Now it's your turn. In a few minutes, you're going to have a degree that says you're an engineer. You are officially an electrical and computer engineer. We're engineers. We make stuff. And if you can make things your own, make the most of every opportunity, and make the journey enjoyable, you can make a significant impact in the world. And I'm really excited to see what you do with those opportunities and your endeavors to do that. I wish you the very best of luck and Godspeed. Thank you.